Einen wunderschönen guten Abend hier am Dienstagabend oder eben a wonderful evening and hello here at round 2 of the 8th season of the Apex Crossplay GT Championship here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. And we are in Austria, in Spielberg, at the Red Bull Ring. And it seems to be a very interesting race, maybe. So, whoa, just wait, I hit the wrong button. I was streaming GT Gran Turismo at last, and so I'm a little bit confused. And at the moment, it seems that Dave is a little bit faster with the Mustang than Jared, and 0.2 of a second faster than Martin, with, I think, the current leader. Oh, and meanwhile, Jared switched the 0.003 of a second that he was behind Dave to 0.3 of a second, no, 0.03 of a second that he is now in front of Dave with the Mustang. And we have to talk about Standard, who is not only the fastest silver driver here in the training, but also P3 of the whole grid. So he is also, for example, in front of Jared, and that not close when we see the difference between Eric and Jared, for example. It's only 0.05 of a second, and it's nearly 0.2 of a second, which is 4 times the gap between Jared and Eric. So it's he's quite fast today. Let's see if maybe it's just because he is on qualification laps and Martin maybe did some long runs here at the training session. In a few seconds we will, or in a few minutes we will know more. Of course, in 10 seconds we see the end of the training session, and then we will have the qualification. And Eric stays on P3 for the moment. Let's see if and Martin meanwhile only 33 thousandths of a second. So the first four drivers less than 0.1 of a second away from each other. And look at this, we have P13 Paul Wittler with less than 0.8 of a second between Dave Urban, who is meanwhile the new leader. So he was again 0.3 of a second faster than Dave, which makes Martin more than a 1/10 slower than Dave. No, because Martin was able to set a new fastest lap in the training, 1:27.345, which makes him 1/10 of a second faster than was it Dave Urban. So, and now let's see what they can do here in the qualification session. So, and let's see who is driving today. So we have Victor Hammerlund one of the Swedish drivers. Then we have Jared Vermeulen, the South African Ferrari driver, teammate of Martin Hüyerjans, who's driving the Mustang. Then we have the German guy with the German car. In the AMG we have Fabian Radek. I think his third season here at the Apex, or maybe the fourth. I'm not sure. Then we have the British driver, I think part of Green Monkey Racing, Paul Wittler. And then we are coming to the first drivers of the Silver Grid, Adam Czobor. Then we have Norbert Ovary, one of the, or two of the Hungarian driver. There are a lot of them. Then we have Robert Smith. I'm pretty sure that he's the American driver, because it's a typical American name. I think it's part of the Matrix, Robert Smith. And then we have WB76, I'm not sure. And then we are coming to the next Hungarian driver, Roland Jordan. And here we have the... at the moment for this situation, he's the first Dutch driver, Guido Christ. And here we have Dave Urban, and we should have an eye on him today because of his training session. Then we have Jeffrey van Buren, Big Jeff, another Dutch driver. Then Stefko or Stevko, I don't know. Next silver driver. I have the problem that I don't know if it's my fault or if it's the problem of the Apex guys. I can't connect to the Apex homepage, and so I must take the knowledge that I have about this grid, so I can't give you more further informations. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure that Martin is the current leader, but I think so, cause I think he was P1. The problem is that that I have also Hüyerjans, Vermeulen and so on every second Monday, and so I'm a little bit confused. I don't know. And the problem is, the two races last week were both on Watkins Glen, so I'm totally confused. I think we saw... Oh no, maybe it was Jared who finished P1, because on the Monday it was Martin with the winning race, or with the race win. Oh, sorry, I'm totally over-asked, but let's see what we have here. So we have Martin in the lead. More than a quarter of a second, I think it's the right term, in front of his teammate. And then we have Dave P3, and again Eric, really fast, Eric Stander, P4. And then we have the Austrian guy here at his home race, Gabriel Lavugger, in the Lamborghini. Let's see what he can do in this race. I think he was a little bit unlucky last week in the first race, so it was his debut, I don't know, deputy, his first race here at the Apex Online Racing Championship. So let's see if he's more happy after this race. And then we have our good known Estonian driver Chris Egert-Rünkjanen, and then Misha Huitzing, I think the second Dutch driver here in the qualification, cause Martin still P2, meanwhile only 700ths of a second behind his teammate, but still behind his teammate. And then we have Paul, P8, and the French driver Dorian Castelli, only P4. Speaking about the Ferraris, maybe he could get some places. No. Still P9. Oh, and now P10, cause we have Latchko, the second silver driver, meanwhile P7 in front of Huitzing and Fiedler, and so Castelli only P10, and then we have Lloyd Chapman, driver of the last season. Voted by the drivers. And then we have Victor Hammerlund, who is one of the Swedish driver, and Guido Christ. Oh, sorry, I wasn't fast enough this time. Oh god. P13, and Radek loses 2 positions cause... Oh, Chris jumps up to P9, but by the way, and then we have... Oh my god. We have Ballo, I think it's right, on P14, and Smith now P15, both of them jumping right in front of Radek in the last minutes. I don't know what happens now. I'm just sneezing around. And then Van Eyck, the next Dutch driver. Oh, and Radek jumps up to P10, so in front of Hammerlund and Christ. And behind Van Eyck we have Ovary, and to be honest, I have no idea who was the winner of the Silver Grid last week. I'm pretty sure that it was one of the Hungarian driver, because I think we have the first 4 places with the Hungarian drivers, but I have totally no idea who get the win last week. And then we have Oskar Frisk coming out of the pits at the moment, P19, in front of Meg Matz, the Polish BMW driver. And then we have Roland Jordan and Laszlo Mihaly, the next 2 silver drivers. And here we have Big Jeff, Jeffrey Van Buren, P23, in front of the GTR Zsolt Barabas. By the way, another Hungarian driver. And then we have WB76, P25, with the BMW, followed by Robert Rewolinski. I think it was Robert and not Roman. Maybe. And then we have Adam Chobor, Atti Klaassen, Stefko, then Archibald, the Scottish driver, TSK, and Kendall Slater. By the way, Archibald, TSK and Slater without any counted lap time. Maybe. Oh, now we have TSK with P29. And let's see if Kendall is able to set a lap time. I think no. Yeah, and let's take a look for the first places. Oh, and we have Jared still in the lead, but Stander, the silver drivers, attacking the top drivers, and this is really crazy. So P2 for Thunder with the BMW. Which I think is really underrated in this championship or in this league. So it's really a good car and he shows what he can. Yeah, I think there is only one BMW in the platinum rating, and this is Ballo. Yeah, and we have, I think, two Lachko and Thunder. So the two best silver drivers are BMWs, and then we have Mats and WB76. They are P7 and 11, I think, and then P13 for Ati Klaassen. So quite interesting. Only 55 thousandths behind, or of a second behind Jared Stander. Yeah, and let's see if he can show this quality over the race during the next 60 minutes. Because we have only, yeah, let's see, we have 2.5 minutes for the qualification left, or 2 minutes meanwhile. Also Moment, ihr seht's ja, führt hier der Silberdriver so ein bisschen die Platin-Driver an der Nase, oder Fahrer an der Nase herum. And then we have Jans, the fastest Mustang driver today. .15 thousandths of a second behind Thunder. And yeah, 43 thousandths of a second in front of Urban. But oh, and now we have a new personnel, and so a new overall best lap time by Vermeulen, 1:27.377. So meanwhile he's more than a tenth faster than Stander. But also Stander was able to be a little bit faster, because meanwhile he's 0.04 of a second faster than Jans. Is Jans able to get in front? Yeah, he is. So he's exactly 1/10 of a second slower than Jared and 0.02 of a second faster than Stander. So we have Jared and Martin in the lead, and then we have Stunder P3. But maybe, I think Stunder is already on track, so maybe he can react to the two guys in front of him and set a new personal best, which brings him closer, or maybe in front of one or both of them. And no, he wasn't able to be faster. So, and now we have the final result. Jared in front of Martin. Then we have Stunder, the first silver driver, on third place, in front of Urban, in front of Dorian Castelli, who is able to get on P5. Then we have Lavuga on his home race, P6 for the Austrian guy. Then Hammerlund, the Swedish driver, in the third Mustang, followed by Christ, the first Porsche driver. And then we have Hützing and Latschko, the second silver driver and the second BMW, on P10 in front of Radek, the German driver. Then Rüngjanen, Van Eyck and Frisk, three Mustang driver. Then Paul Wittler and Lloyd Chapman, Ballot P17, then Smith and Overy, Van Buren P20, then Atti Klaassen, Chobor, Barabas, McMats, Jordan, Mihaly, Archibald, WB 76, then Robert Revolinsky P29, and followed by TSK by Stefko and Kendall Slater P32. So we do a little commercial break that I can get a little breath, and then we are hoping for 1 hour of finest race action. So hear you soon. So, and we are back and waiting for the introduction lap, I think. And here we have
10 seconds.
The Ferrari in the lead, followed by the Mustang, the BMW, then the Mustang and Dorian Castelli P5, the second Ferrari right in front of the next Mustang but beside the Lamborghini from Lavuga. And all of them behind Jared, at least for the introduction lap. Let's see what happens during the start. And let's hope for a clean start by everyone. Oh, and we have Paul, who wasn't fast enough to start. And now he have to start out of the pits, so from the back of the field. But I think he was the only one, yeah, and so we have Kendall on P31 and Paul gets the red lantern, sorry, not lantern. Yeah, but again, let's talk about the fantastic job by Stunder. And of course, the fantastic job of the BMW. So I think it's more than 50% from the driver, but at least some percent is the car. But great job here. P3 for Stunder. Really close behind Martin and Jared. So, dann hoffen wir doch jetzt hier auf einen guten Start, dass es hier nicht direkt schon zum Start die ersten, in Anführungsstrichen, Leichen gibt. Wir sind ja hier nicht bei irgendwelchen Ballerspielen. So, let's hope for a good start, fingers crossed. How are the referees at a boxing fight says, I want a good clean fight. And this is exactly what we are hoping to see here.
Green light. Go, go, go.
And Jared is trying to closing the door against his teammate, and yeah, it works. Oh, and we have... Oh, and Lavuga with the next problems, and I'm not sure if he gets a push or not. And let's see, yeah, here Jans is losing at least one position. Now defending himself against Urban and maybe against Castelli. He's on the better side, but Urban is a little bit faster. Let's see if Urban is able to get in front on the outside. Maybe, yeah, he only have to wait for the next corner, cause then we have the first left-handed corner. Oh, and also Dorian is trying to get in front of Hyans, and not only trying to, but he's able to get in front of Hyans. So Hyans back on P5 at the moment, in front of Krisk, and Latchko P6 and Stunder P2. Oh, and here we have the counter-attack by Hyans against Castelli. So Castelli now back on P5, Hyans P4. And now we have Castelli against Christ. And we have Stunder on second place. And we have Vermeulen on top of all. Jared P1, followed by Stunder and Urban. And then we have Hyans, Castelli and Christ. Latchko the second silver driver P7. And then we have Hammerlund, Rünkjanen and Van Eyck. And then we have Overy, Smith, Barabbas, Chobor, Utzing P15 fighting against Slater. Oh, and Slater. Am I wrong? He was... Okay, I think I'm wrong. But I think he was one of the last guys at the start. Oh, and we have McMutz in the pits and Lavoga, meanwhile P20 for the Lamborghini. And I'm not sure if there was a little push. Let's see. Oh, damn. Sorry. I think here we already lost. Ah, there was a problem from Radek. No. Ah, there he was. Ah no, and he wasn't pushed. I thought maybe he was pushed by the Porsche, but no. So just for our information. It was not 100% clear, but I think there was no mistake by Christ, who fell back. Only P9 at the moment, and I think he will lose. No, he don't lose his... Oh, maybe yes. No, he's still on P9, right in front of Van Eyck and Overy. But he was right behind Castelli. Oh, and Latchko. Oh, and what happens to Castelli and so on? We have Latchko climbing up 2 positions. Meanwhile, P5. So we have 2 silver drivers in the top 5. Castelli, meanwhile, away from Christ, but behind Latchko. And we have Hyjans still behind Urban. And Stander. 2, nah, not 2, but more than 1.5 seconds. No, not exactly 1.5, but nearly 1.5 seconds in. Oh, and now we have the big mistake by Jared. I think the same problem like Lavoga's problem. And there was no contact by Stander, because Stander was 0.7 of a second away. And now we have Jared back on P11, fighting against Overy and Smith. P3 and 4 of the silver grid, and we have the lead of a silver driver. This is crazy. And this would be quite amazing if we see a win from the silver grid. I'm totally excited at the moment. And he's 2 seconds in front of Hyujans. Hyujans in front of Urban. Was able to overtake Urban. And to be honest, that's the bad news for Stunder. Let's see, 2.1 seconds. Let's see how this will develop. I think develop is not the right word, but I think you know what I mean. And then we have Castelli P4 at the moment in front of Latchko, so also Latchko loses 2 positions. Because also Hammerlund now in front of Latchko. Okay, Latchko wins 1 position because of the mistake by Vermeulen, and so he stays on P6. And then we have Rünkjanen, Christ and Van Eyck and Jared Beck in the top 10 in front of Overy. Oh, and Hyujans is closing the gap to Stunder, only 1.6 seconds. Let's see. And Lavuga meanwhile P19 in front of Radek and right behind Revolinsky. And then we have Klaassen and Slater. And where is the... Oh, and the Platinum BMW, only P30 for Ballot. Oh, and let's see the fight between the Lambo and the Porsche. And Lavuga now P18. And the bad news for Stunder is Hyujans is coming closer. The good news, Urban, not really. So still more than 2 seconds between Urban and Stunder. But only a second between Stunder and Hyujans. So Hyujans flying at the moment. And we see the first back markers in front of Stunder. And this is another fact which makes this fight, or which can make this fight interesting. Eight and a half tenths. So he's winning every sector. And we have the fight of Jared. Jared right behind Van Eyck and Christ. So Christ only P8 at the moment. And Van Eyck already behind Vermeulen. And now Vermeulen against the Porsche. And here we have the Mustang against the BMW. and Rinkianen fighting against Latchko. And I think it's Thunder against Ballot. But Ballot is doing everything right and just waiting. Oh, and also Urban is getting closer. 1.5 seconds between Thunder and Urban, and half of a second, less than half of a second between Jans and the current leader. And Jared still behind Chris. Oh, and now we have the attack on the outside by Jans, but no success. And here we have the opposite way. So Christ let the inside open, and so Jared is able to get P8 again. What means again? Yeah, for a short moment he was P8. After his spin. And this was quite interesting, but because there was not really pressure from behind, I think Thunder was 7 or 8 tenths of a second behind Jared. So if Eric panics at this moment here between Jans and I think it's Chapman, I could understand, but quite amazing that Jared is doing such a mistake. So, and now we have Urban right behind Jans and Thunder, so the first 3 drivers right behind each other. And let's see if Dorian is able to getting closer behind these 3. The moment he is more than 5.5 seconds behind Urban. And maybe Dave is able to attack Martin, and this will gives Thunder again some space. And at the moment it looks exactly like this, so the gap between the 2 Mustangs is closing, and the gap between Martin and Eric is getting a little bit bigger. Yeah, but this was just for the moment. Oh, and behind we saw a little mistake by Chapman. So Lloyd jumps into the pits. Oh my goodness, that was not so good that he is jumping inside. Oh, and here a little contact between Jans and Thunder. Thunder again defending the inside lane. But Urban wasn't able to get really beside Jans. So it's still the BMW in front of the Dutch Mustang, and then we have Urban. Oh, and I'm not really sure where Urban comes from. I would say Great Britain, but it could be totally wrong. Sorry. By the way, Rüngjanen in front of Latschko, and Latschko 1 second in front of Jared. Oh, and this time Urban is attacking Martin. But again, the outside for this time Urban. But what? He's not only able to get in front of Hyjans, he's also able to attack the BMW. Crazy. And now we have Urban in the lead. and Hyjans and Stander fighting for P2. What a crazy and fantastic move by Urban for the lead, and Hyjans now P3 and Stander P2. Crazy. And that was exactly not what number 12 and number 13 are looking for. But what a fantastic move by Urban. Really great. Oh. And this was really close between Martin Hyjans and the BMW. And here we have another BMW coming right out of the pits and between P1, 2 and 3, but yeah, this was good job. I don't know who was it. I think it was WB 76, yeah. So good job. But what crazy things are happening here. Meanwhile, we have Latschko right between Rüngjanen and Vermeulen. So we have the Estonian Mustang, then Latschko in the BMW, and Jared, the South African Ferrari driver, on P6, 7 and 8. Yeah, and to be honest, Jared is able to get in the top 5 when we are looking for the gaps. Oh, and Jared with the undercut. 9 minutes before halftime of the race, but I think he want to vermeiden. He don't want to fight against Latschko and Rüngjanen, so. And here we have exactly 0.8 of a second between Stander, Urban and Hyjans. And this is really crazy. And look at the gap between Hyjans and Castelli. So also Castelli is getting closer to the 3 drivers on top of the field. So was able to win at least 1.5 seconds. Maybe a little bit more. And at the moment, Thunder is losing against Urban, which is good for Urban and not so good for the BMW. Oh, and I think in this time, no, Martin isn't. Maybe he is. Let's see. It looks a little bit like the attack by Urban. Oh, and this is not good for Thunder, cause the next two corners are left-handed, and this brings Martin in front. Oh, I don't say anything. Yeah, okay, but it is. So now Urban in front of Jans, and then we have P3 for Thunder, which is quite a fantastic, which would be quite a fantastic result for the BMW, especially when we are talking about the fact that he is a silver driver. Yeah, and now let's see if Martin is able to close the gap between Dave and himself. Cause it's, at the moment, it's more than 2 seconds. Which is quite much when we are looking at the gaps during the race so long. But I think he was able to close at least 1-2 second gap. Yeah, and like we see only 1.7 seconds. And maybe we see the same situation like we saw earlier, and in this case Thunder is able to overtake both of the Mustangs and get back on the lead. Ah, 1.9 seconds between Jans and Urban. And we have the next backmarker coming out of the pits. Oh, and Vermeulen 3 or more than 3 seconds behind Castelli, and for Lavugar everything seems to go wrong, cause after his big accident right in turn 1, he does a second mistake, or makes a second mistake, and this is speeding in the pits. This gives him a 30-second stop-and-go penalty. But why? This is the next question. Maybe we have no pit sign anymore, so let's have a look for this. But is someone coming into the pits? At the moment, no. Ah, yes, Overly is coming in. And let's see. Is there a sign? Ah, damn, I think... Yeah, okay. There it was, the sign. There we see it. So, it's not because we have no sign, so... Just a little bit optimistic pit entrance by Lavoga, I would say. And like we saw behind Overy and Smith, the Lamborghini comes in for his stop-and-go penalty already. And look at this. Already 1.9 seconds between Urban and Hyujans. So at this moment, or in this moment, Hyujans isn't really able to close the gap to Urban. Oh, and now we have the pit stop by Urban, and so we have the lead from Hyujans and P2 by Stander. And I'm not sure, but I think it's the first... Yeah, it's the first lead from Hyujans in this race, and this is only... Oh, what was this? Oh no, and what happens to... No, what is happening here? Okay, this was totally crazy. Some connection problems by Hyujans, I would say. And because of this, he's not only losing P1, but also more than a second, nearly 2 seconds. And we have the next stop-and-go penalty, and this is by Urban, the current leader, with a stop-and-go penalty. And now we have the pit stop by Hyujans. Stander stays on track. And at the moment, it seems like everyone is driving for Stander. So we have the stop-and-go penalty by Urban. We have the big mistake during the first part of the race by Vermeulen. We saw the connection problem by Hyujans in the last lap in this corner. What is going on here? I'm speechless. Sorry, but I can't say anything. So at the moment, also Hyujans' internet connection wants Stander to winning the race. Crazy shit. Oh, sorry, I hope I'm allowed to say something like this. But it is crazy shit, to be honest. And let's see. Is Dorian... Oh no, and don't say that Urban... No, why is Urban... No, Urban quit... I think he's quitting the race. Ah, sad. Oh, and look at this! Hyujans behind Christ and Vermeulen, and Castelli, current leader of the drivers who did their stop already. And I think we will see Stander coming out of the pits with the lead. And so also Dorian must ask himself what is happening here. And also, I, who's watching this, ask myself, What's going on here? Okay. And now we have the pit stop by Stunder. And Stunder will stay in the lead. This is no question. Except he's doing some bullshit now. So I... Oh god. And I just thought he got a stop and go penalty, but it was Kender. And look at this. Hyjans behind Vermeulen, Hammerlund, Latschko and Christ. Only P8. Oh, come on, Stunder. And now he's done with his pit stop. And Castelli in Red Bull mobile corner. Oh no, and Castelli is taking the lead in front of Vermeulen and only P4 for Stunder because also Hammerlund is able to get it. This is totally crazy. So at the moment we have Dorian in the lead, 1.6 seconds in front of the second Ferrari. So we... Okay, crazy. I can't say any more, but crazy. Meanwhile, Stunder 8 seconds in front of P2 of the silver grid. Latschko. So P5 and 6 for Stunder and Latschko. Then we have Christ and Hyjans. Hyjans only P8. And I'm not sure that and if he is able to stay in front of... Oh, maybe. Let's see. Here comes Hyjans and... Now I think Rüngjanen... Yeah, Rüngjanen stays in front of Hyjans. Yeah, of course. Oh, here we have Rüngjanen. Sorry for this. Ah, he's between Stunder and Latschko. And then we have Christ and Hyjans. So only P8 for Hyjans. Only P4 for Stunder. And let's have a look for Urban. But I think Urban... Yeah, Urban out of the race. And Dorian fighting against Vermeulen. So... I would like to say that we see a Ferrari on top of the podium today, but till the checkered flag I say nothing today. Cause I maybe Stunder is winning the race, or maybe Hammerlund. I don't know. Maybe everything, anything explodes because something totally crazy happens, and I don't know. Yeah, but I think both of them, Hylians and Stunder, with a little damage because of the crazy jump or glitch or connection failure by Hylians. And maybe this costs both of them a lot of time and because of this a lot of places. And we have Castelli. Nearly 9/10 of a second in front of Jared, and then we have Victor 1.5 seconds in front of Stunder, and maybe Stunder is able to get back on the podium. Then we have Rynkianen, Latschko, and Latschko fighting against Christ and Hylians. Oh, and I think we see how Martin is able to get on P7. And before the pit stop, this was the fight between Jared and these two, Christ and Latschko. So 1 or 2 laps before Jared was in the pits, he was overtaking Christ, and then he was behind Latschko and coming in to the pits, and now we have Hylians between Latschko and Christ and Jared on second place. So this is why not? And meanwhile it's only 4/10 of a second between these two Ferraris. Yeah, still 1.6 seconds between Stunder and P3. We have Revolinsky and Van Eyck fighting against Mihaly, the fight between P17, 18 and 19. And Hylians still right behind Latschko. But we also have the fight between P1 and 2. Yeah, and Jared is or tries to find a way to overtake the other Ferrari, and maybe this could be the spot. Oh, and Gabriel is writing. So, where is the Lambo? Oh, no more Lambo on track. Ja, das war heute irgendwie schon relativ früh ein bisschen mit Unglück beseelt und dann die Stop-and-Go-Strafe hat natürlich auch nicht geholfen. Wobei wir sehen ja, dass auch ein frühes Abwerfen hier noch dazu führen kann, wenn man danach durchzieht, dass es noch um Topplätze gehen kann. Denn wie gesagt, auch Jared hat da früh das Auto weggeworfen. So, und oh no, and now we have a drive-through for Dorian. And this means we see Eric. And this is what I said. I don't say anything about who will win this race. Ja, also jetzt haben wir Jared wieder in Führung und Thunder wird in den nächsten 3 Runden auf P3 vorkommen. Und das ganz ohne den Victor zu gefährden. Und wir haben damit einen Südafrikaner, einen Schweden und ich glaube einen Ungarn auf dem Podest. Und Thunder damit sogar zweimal auf dem Podest, nämlich einmal auf P3 Gesamt und einmal P1 in seiner Klasse. Und ich glaube, ja, Dorian, I think Dorian will, yeah, he's already coming in the pits for his drive-through penalty, and so we have Victor on second place and Thunder already P3, only or less than a second behind Victor. So maybe we see the next fight. Die Frage ist, also tatsächlich habe ich mir das angeguckt, das sah aber gar nicht so aus, als ob du weggedreht wurdest in Turn 1. Also der Guido war da ein ganzes Stück hinter dir. Es sei denn, du hast dann doch nochmal gebremst und er hat dich dann doch erwischt. Also zumindestens Eingang Kurve 1 sah das nicht so aus, als ob er dich da erwischt hätte. Aber wir haben auch nur ganz kurz drauf geguckt, muss ich ehrlich zugeben. Und da war auch die Kameraperspektive ein bisschen ungünstig. Ähnlich wie jetzt. So, and meanwhile we have Jared 2 seconds in the lead in front of Hammerlund. Ah, okay. Der Dorian hat dich berührt. Okay, dann habe ich das nicht gesehen. Okay. And Thunder. P3 for the silver driver. And to be honest, it's totally fair that he gets P3 after this crazy race and qualification. So, in all sessions, he was in the top 3. And I think so it's totally fair that he's also P3 at the end of the race. Also, a lot of things happens that Eric is on P3 14 minutes before the end of the race, so I don't say anything. But it's almost 7 seconds. Oh, and we have the next drive-through penalty, so maybe there are some drivers to be careful during the last 40 or 13.5 minutes. So after Dorian, who's now P9, we have Ovary, currently P11, with the second drive-through penalty. And meanwhile we have Hyjans in front of Latschko, and Latschko fighting against Christ. And when I say fighting, I mean fighting. So Christ nearly in the back of the BMW. Or in the trunk? I don't know. Oh, and Thunder. Less than 9/10 of a second behind Hammerlund. Yeah, but no change of the gap between Hammerlund and Vermeulen. Still 2 seconds. So in some parts of the track, Stander is also a little bit faster than Jared. Oh, and look at this. Stander is closing the gap to Hammerlund. .9 seconds between Stander and Jared Vermeulen. But is he able to overtake the Mustang? Like we see, it was really hard for the Mustang to overtake the BMW, and the only overtake between the BMW against the Mustang was the interesting problem by Hyjans here in turn 2. This is turn 3, so and still 2.9 seconds. But at the moment he's not in the position to attack the Mustang. By the way, Dorian is fighting against Robert Smith. Fight for P8. Robert P3 in the silver rating. But he's losing a position against Dorian, now P9 for the third silver driver. But nearly 10 seconds in front of Adam and P4 of the silver grid. And here we have the leader of the silver grid, and he's fighting for the second place for overall. Of course, he could not fight. He could fight for P2 against Latchko, but Latchko far away. More than 13 seconds, I would say 14 seconds and a bit. And less than 8 minutes to go. And meanwhile, 2.6 seconds between Stander and Vermeulen and 2.2 seconds now 2.5 between Hammerlund and Vermeulen, so again Stander is getting a little bit closer to both of the drivers in front of him. But still the fastest lap by Hyjans, who is P5 at the moment. Oh, and now we have the fight for P2 against Hammerlund and Stander. But no, we don't have. Oh, sorry. One time too much. Castelli 6.5 seconds behind Christ. Oh, and both with a little problem here. And now a little bit more than half of a second between Hammerlund and Stander. And we have Christ against Letchgore. The fight for P6. And that's all of the fights at the moment. We have Stander against Hammerlund and Christ against Letchgore. But both of them, Stander and Christ, are a little bit too far away to to attack the driver in front of them. And meanwhile, we have a gap more than 3 seconds between Stander and Jared. And we have the Aston in front of Hammerlund and Stander. So this is Laszlo, I think. Yeah, of course we only have one Aston Martin. And he just waits for Hammerlund and Stander to overtake him. Though, less than 4 minutes to go for Jared and the rest of the field. Oh, and Van Eyck right behind Barabbas. And Chris still fighting against Latchko, so here we have a platinum driver following a silver driver. And here we saw a silver driver hunting the second platinum driver. And what a great job from Stander. And not only Stander, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 silver drivers in the top 10. So nearly half of the top 10 are filled or is filled with silver drivers. And it's good for the platinum drivers that Jared and Victor are doing a good job and take care that we don't see the first win of a silver driver in this championship. And Latchko still defending himself against Rist. I think we don't saw them. Was this blue car was Rüngjanen. And then we have Hyjans, who is now right behind the Estonian driver. And here we have Latchko and Krist, the two drivers fighting for P6. And now we have 3 fights in the top 10. We have the fight between Stander and Hammerlund. Oh, and the next little problem here right in the chicane from Stander. And then we have Chris Egert fighting against Martin Hyjans. And then Latchko fighting against Christ. And now we have the final lap for all of them. And Jared more than 3 seconds away from everyone else. And I think it's the biggest gap between P1 and 2 during the whole race, which is crazy. And then we have Stander, and I think he's now realizing that P3 is also a very good result for a silver driver. And then we have Chris Egert defending himself against Hyjans. And Latchko really close in front of Christ. But I think he's got the right car for this fight. So, and then we have Jared coming in the last sector for the last time. And only 2 more corners. So now the last time Red Bull Mobile, and now not doing a mistake, and then he finished P1, and then we have Hammerlund P2 and Stander P3. Congratulations to all of them. And then we have Chris Egert on 4th place, right in front of Hyjans. And then we have the second silver driver, Latchko P6, and Christ in the Porsche P7. And then we have Dorian Castelli P8, Robert Smith P9, and the 4th silver driver, Adam Chobor, still in the top 10, really close in front of Hützing, who got P11. Then we have Radek, the German driver, in the German car, P12 for the AMG. Then we have Paul Wiedler in the Ferrari, P13, in front of Overy, who is P4, P4 of the silver rating. Then P5 for Atti Klaassen. I think P15, not P14. And then we have Barabbas, Van Eyck, and then Revolinski, Mihaly, Archibald, Van Buren, Slater, Mats, and WB76. These are the 24 drivers, or 25 drivers, I think, who saw the checkered flag. Yeah, and congratulations to Jared, to Victor, and to Stander for a great race and a great result for all of them. But to be honest, it was a really crazy race. I'm not sure if we have an someone who joins us for an interview. I don't know, maybe. But to be honest, I will get in the... Just wait. Ready for interview box and waiting, but I do a little commercial break because I need a little toilet break. I hope this is okay for you. And then we take a look if someone joins us here for a little interview in half of a minute. I find the right button. Yeah, here it is. So, now let's see. So, no one here. I wasn't really believing that someone joins us. Let's see what they are writing. Nice battle by Christ with Lachko. Stunder messaged Bodhi, but I think there was no mistake by Stunder, by Eric. Oh, and Dorian was pushed off track and gets a warning from that. Okay, interesting, but okay. Then let's call it a day. But before this, or before I end the stream, I will switch to German to tell the audience what happens in the next days. But not only, but not without telling you what we are having next week. Cause next week we are not at the Red Bull Ring, cause we are at the Red Bull Ring today. So next week we are in Japan and saying hello to Suzuka. So we are looking forward for this. And yeah, so I'm switching to German. Also, das war's für heute hier mit einem echt verrückten Rennen. Also da könnt ihr auch sagen, was ihr wollt. Aber jeder, der sich das jetzt auch in den nächsten Tagen anguckt, wird mir sicherlich zustimmen. Ja, und vielleicht geht's ja morgen genauso krass weiter, denn morgen gibt's das Finale der Team Cup Challenge. Oder wie heißt es genau? Jedenfalls sind die Funracer morgen wieder unterwegs. Und das heißt, ja, Multiclass Team Cup, so rum, genau. Und ja, sagen wir mal so, von der Strecke her können wir einiges erwarten, denn wir sind morgen wieder auf dem Dosenring. Also von daher, ja, das kann ja nur gut werden. Wir haben 28 Fahrer aktuell gemeldet oder 28 Teams, hoffe ich. Achso, nee, ja, dementsprechend 14 Teams, 28 Fahrer. Ja, Gott, ich war durcheinander. Ja, und wie gesagt, dann erwartet uns morgen also nochmal ein spannendes Rennen dann mit GT3 und GT4 hier auf dem Dosenring. Und wie gesagt, nächste Woche geht es dann hier weiter. Ich hoffe, das ist nächste Woche. Die haben jetzt nicht eine Pause. Weiter auf Suzuka. Ja, und am Freitag sind wir natürlich wieder zu Gast bei den Jungs und Mädels der ISR auf der Schleife. Also von daher, ja, für Unterhaltung ist gesorgt. Von daher gerne wieder einschalten. Ansonsten erstmal schönen Abend. Seid lieb zueinander. Nein, seid lieb zueinander. Und wir sehen uns die Tage.